네, 새로운 기술에 대한 과열된 관심이 지나고 본질적인 가치에 중심을 두고 있는 프로젝트들의 힘이 보이고 있는 시점입니다. 세션 2에서는 이 시점의 중심축인 아트 NFT의 동향과 기술, 미래에 대한 이야기해 볼 텐데요. 연사들의 발표에 앞서 전 CJ 올리브 네트워크스 차인혁 대표님께서 키노트 스피치를 준비하셨습니다. 랩인을 위로 모시겠습니다. 박수 부탁드립니다.
안녕하세요. Thank you very much for attending this session. Too many people are here, but I'm sure that people will start to come. I hope that you all had great lunches too. 여기 외국 분들도 많이 계실 것 같아서 제가 영어로 좀 말씀드리겠습니다. 자료 자체는 영어로 좀 돼 있었어요.
마이크를 좀 더 가까이
들리시나요? 네.
멀리 뛰어.
네. Sorry about that. So I speak slower as well as a little louder too. And, the title of my talk, which I think I was given 25 minutes or so I think I should really hurry very much, but is some thoughts on the evolution of art in the era of generative AI, NFT, and other digital technologies. So let me just start. So that slide just introduced myself, what I've been doing. I recently resigned from a corporate job at one of the large conglomerate groups in Korea. Have led group-wise digital transformation and new innovations, including our new entry into digital art too, in the world of the art. So in that capacity, I would like to share some of my thoughts and experiences and observations in terms of what what seems to be happening in the art world in terms of intersection of art and technology. All right, so I love to quote important and famous quotes from people who have died a long time ago, people who are supposed to have a lot of wisdom. Spinoza. Everything excellent is as difficult as it is rare. 정말 좋은 거는 그게 귀한 만큼, 희귀한 만큼 더 어렵다. 그렇죠? 만드는데 그렇게 알고 있죠, 우리가. So we all have believed that, for example, works of great art is very difficult to achieve as well as very rare. But is that necessarily true in these times? The times when technology is making strides into the lives of everyone, including the artists and everyone in the art world too. So this is a question that maybe we can all think about too. So we'll touch a little bit on art, AI, maybe some of the NFT thoughts too, and some of the other digital technologies. For what? To just open up some of the minds and some conversations too. So coming from a person who has mostly digital and IT background, and you might hopefully get something in terms of, okay, what are some of us, the artists, for example, and people who are trying to capitalize on the art can glean from some of these thoughts from technologists? So this is basically the purpose of this talk. Like almost everybody that I know, I try to cheat a little bit in this talk by drafting the first draft of this talk with the help of generative AI, like Bard and ChatGPT. So I did some prompt engineering. Can you give me some code? Can you give me a Microsoft PowerPoint file that can talk about these and these topics? And of course, ChatGPT and Bard did their own thing and gave me something to work with, which I had to discard eventually, almost every one of that, but it gave me a start. All right, generative AI. What is it? It is an AI technology that spits out something that looks and feels like a real data. Be the data the data may be text or images or sound or anything else, which is completely foreign and completely artificial, but which is generated in a mimicry of real data. So that's basically what generative AI is, as everybody knows, right? And since about 2014, most people actually these days know that generative AI started into the highlight just last year, first with the advent of the image generation tools such as Midjourney and Stable Diffusion, and then this year and late last year with the ChatGPT and Bard and all these text-based generative AI. But generative AI actually is a little older than that. In 2014 timeframe, there were other earlier technologies which tried to make basically one thing, which was, let's try if you can train a neural network, an AI system, to try to generate the original text given some noisy observations. And they were able to make something that they could not understand how it operates, but they were able to make systems that could spit out data that looked like, and even on the stochastic analysis, that looked, felt, and sounded like the original very, very closely. So we actually still don't know why it's happening that way. After almost 10 years of advanced research on generative AI, we still don't know why it works this way. That's very interesting, by the way, but that's what it is. And there are so many use cases that people are coming up with in terms of generative AI. Text generation, image generation, sound generation. Text could be your diaries, some contract, a legal contract, some proposals, your college essays, docent materials for art shows, all of that. The systems are spitting out software code, and you can just type in some description, and then the system generates images that can pass for almost art-like images too. A lot of concerns on generative AI because nobody has paid anything to the owners of the data for a long time, and suddenly all these big tech companies like Google and OpenAI and all these guys and Meta, they suddenly have systems that have been trained with gazillions of data that humans, like me and you, have generated and have forgetfully and voluntarily just submitted to the hands of these big tech players. People are having a lot of fun with generative AI. A lot of fun giving these systems some prompts to, can you draw a picture of some aliens fighting each other, for example? Or can you draw me a picture where Einstein is, dancing with maybe Cleopatra, whatever, right? Not just fun.
what you see is a case where a famous Japanese animator, that person's work has been involuntarily copied and trained by the AI, and someone actually just used the AI system to generate a complete animation, which is very closely mimicking an original artist form and content, and that third person was able to sell the content. And there's a whole lot of controversy in Japan, because Japan, as everybody knows, is a very big country with animation and manga, right? And AI can generate a whole sequence, whole content of mangas and animations just in seconds, having learned styles, contents, and everything else about all these authors. So it's not just fun anymore. People's lives are starting to be affected. This is a picture that a system called Midjourney generated when it was given an input, an instruction. Can you give me a picture that describes the future of creativity? And this is exactly what Midjourney gave us. Legal fights have not even started, it's starting. But the creators are kind of losing already. There's almost a reservation that things have already been decided that it might not be possible to get rights of the artists and creators into the system. Let me quote another one from the same author, Baruch Spinoza. People think that they have free will and they know what they want. Just because they know what they want, but they don't know what has caused the desires or the intentions, right? The determination, the intentions of people seems to be overrated, and I think philosophers 400 years ago, 300 years ago already knew that most people's intentions are skin deep. And we are actually not aware of what is actually happening inside the world, inside our interactions with the world, inside our own heads and bodies, what is actually causing us to behave in certain ways, what is causing us be able to appreciate something as artful or artistic and something as completely vulgar objective or objecting. So we don't really know about us. We haven't figured out what we are. The thing is, AI doesn't need any explanation. It just needs data, observations, and then it will be able to figure out and affect how we feel and how we behave, and so on. A lot of people have thought that AI will never be able to create something that will appeal to advanced, people with artistic experiences and education. It might not last that way for a long time. Because for us to be able to say that the machines will never be able to figure us in terms of our artful intentions, then we'll have to know what actually makes that happen inside us. And as I said, we have no idea why it's happening that way. Machines may be winning in that regard too. There's a slight distinction between art or art-like objects that are generated by AI versus generative art. Now, generative art versus AI generated art, right? So look at these pictures, for example. This is one of the art forms that have recently emerged where people use advanced math and programming skills to create small patterns and then use that to create something that did not exist before, and even even seem to appeal to our artistic senses. You might have heard a lot from people who love mathematics, not too many people that you know, right? But you may have heard things like, there's so much beauty in mathematics. Only the mathematicians have been telling each other about that, right? But there are actually artists who are creating what passes as art using advanced mathematic formulas and almost nothing else. So the ancient people already kind of have that wisdom that maybe something as abstract and time-consuming and hard as mathematics and art have some commonality, maybe. I don't know, some things to think about. Another piece of generative art, that tower is composed of components and material that do not exist. That tower is shaped like this, and even those columns are composed of small patterns and objects like these. Columns are looking like that. These were not generated by craftsmanship by artists or by their imaginations. These are generated purely from advanced mathematics. Some kind of programming that have some certain constraints to actually generate these kind of forms. And yet a lot of people seem to think that forms like that have artistic values. So again, something to think about. When mathematics come to people, everyday people like us and even artists, at very, very low cost because of the advance of the computation, right? And the low cost of computation these days. Can that make it happen that the people will kind of open to the possibility that we will have some other previously unknown senses of beauty towards objects that have not been invented or have not been designed by people? So again, we are in an interesting era. But the data, the observation seems to be that, yeah, people can react to these things that are completely artificially generated in aesthetic ways. So let me just show a short video.
Able to remember all the questions.
World-famous artist Rafikanador, one of his works.
Here I am. Inside the mind of countless
And this work,
as well as interacting with various people.
he was trying to show all the questions that millions and billions of people on Earth have generated, and then show that in a visual way and audio way too. And just gathered all that big data about what people have in terms of questions, and then used advanced mathematics to show that. The totality of the human questions. Is there beauty here? Is there artistic beauty here? We don't know, but a lot of people seem to react to this because art has been, for a very long time, about individuals, about individual artistic flair and creativity. But can some kind of an emergent beauty, some kind of an emergent artistic beauty arise when you combine millions and billions of people's data like this? We don't know. A young Korean artist who I met about a year ago thought that pictures don't have to be static. It doesn't have to be animation and cheap, but it can be moving pictures on screens, right? And then you can tell stories much more easily. Someone moving about, some mom petting or kid petting a cat, for example, people eating together, and so on. Okay, enough about generative AI and advanced mathematics and big data. All I wanted to say was that advanced technologies like digital technologies are coming into the world of art in this way, that way, and other ways. And I think it's an interesting time that how to see how people react to this and what kind of markets can happen with this and so on. Metaverse. A lot of people are talking about metaverse too. So let me show you something. About 4 or 5 years ago, a small company in Florida, USA, called Magic Leap, worked with a very famous artist studio, Sigur Rós studio, and created something like this. So that you can create and manipulate, interact with the artificial objects wearing a goggle whereby you can see not only the artificial objects but also the real world too, right? So augmented reality. Evoking, the kind of senses that do not exist yet. And now, something like this is happening all the time. Within the metaverse, artists creating entire virtual art. There be light, right? Change the world. Okay, I think you get the idea. So let me look at the. So the next is actually not about visually striking things, but about meditation. Krista Kim, a very famous Korean Canadian artist who I know, has generated a lot of interest by having designed something called the Mars house, a house that might exist in the alien world of Mars, on the surface of Mars. Just a short picture. So she really believes in the power of meditation in the virtual world. So her works are not about very fast movements or striking colors, but much more about serenity and what you can get. So you can meditate, right? Okay. And then there are technologies that are coming to us where the distinction between the actual human and a cyber human is getting blurred. So let me show you some examples. This was actually something that a company that I was the CEO of until last month made about two years ago. We didn't actually debut these virtual humans for some reasons, but you can see.
한 가지 얼굴로만 살면 재미없죠. 다양하게 살려고요. 제 직업이요? 나는 쇼호스트입니다. 나는 선생님입니다. 나는 인플루언서입니다. 나는 버추얼 휴먼입니다. 안녕하세요. 잠시만요. 다시 할게요.
So when you create what looks and feels and interacts like a human, what can that mean for the art?
어디든 가야 할 것만 같아. 넌 금방이라도 올 것 같아.
You can perform.
괜찮아. 우리 가자. 걱정은 잠시 내려놓고 대신 가볍게 짐을 챙기자.
And this is something that, again, researchers in my company, the company that I was the CEO of until July, created with 9 actual poets of Korea. Young Korean poets, 9 of them. So initially, my researchers came to me about a year and a half ago and said, Mr. CEO, I think we can actually debut an artificial poet. And I said, hell no. What I told them, because I was very worried about our company's reputation if we did that, was don't ever think about that, but let's give the tools to actual human poets so that they can use it to augment their own work and see what will happen, how the actual poets feel about that. So the result of that work and interaction that happened about 6 months was put into an actual book of poem called 9 plus I, 9 humans plus I, our AI. You know, we asked the poets not to just write poems with the help of the tools, but also write about how they felt and experienced that interaction with the tool that we gave them. One of the most striking thing was that out of the 9 poets, 3 or 4 of them actually said something that I've never actually thought they would say. What they said was, those lonely nights as a poet, right? You cannot share the loneliness with anyone. The agony of creativity, the agony of having the art blocks, for example. And in the deep night, 3 a.m., when no one else is available, that tool was there. It spat out silly things, silly words, but that was such a comfort for me. So we thought, okay, it's worth publishing that book, because we found a hint that AI can actually become something that can be comfortable and be a source of comfort to actual human users, not to take away their jobs, not to take away their titles as poets. Never think of actually debuting virtual poets. But that was just our company and us. Other people are not that slow. They are just giving away virtual singers, virtual performers, virtual poets, virtual painters, and all of these things. So what does that mean to be a person, a human person in the world of art when these things are happening? Again, no easy answers, just some questions and thoughts to share. I was asked to actually say something about NFT because this is an NFT 2023 show. And I had to say to the organizers that I don't have much to say about NFT as it exists now. Because very frankly, I had about 6 to 9 months of great interest into NFT until about a year ago. And then almost all that interest actually had, disappeared. Because I was feeling like almost everybody was saying the same things. And we were not making too much progress. In fact, from a technologist's point of view, I have advanced degrees in technology. From a person who is trained in deep technology, the technology behind NFT is so shallow and so simple. It's not interesting at all. It's not at all interesting. Your simple smart contract may have a few tens or maybe at most a few hundreds of lines of code. Do you know how many codes do you need actually to build something like a space station or even a jetliner? Millions of codes. So to the technologists, those things are far more important and far more interesting than the technology behind NFT. However, because NFT touches upon a subject called the trust, which is a complete human characteristic, I thought that maybe we can still ask questions about what the future of NFT should probably think about. And this is just my purely my own individual observation and opinions. By the way, you are all aware the rise and fall of the word NFT, right, in the recent years. Google Trends. Okay, a lot of people are still doing that. Not for me, not for a lot of other people either. So we know that NFT does non-fungibility verification. So what is what a lot of people are actually thinking about these days. Not something that you would comfortably say at an NFT conference, but that is probably true. So I think that we should go further. We should ask the technologists to work with us to expand and deepen NFT not for technology's point of view, not for technology's sake, but to advance other human traits other than just non-fungibility verification. For example, a lot of people are talking about NFT as a medium for community building and maintenance. But what kind of communities? Real, strong, purposeful, good communities. Can we have technologies and regulations and rules governing those technologies in an NFT that can actually foster better communities? Then I think the NFTs of that kind of an NFT would be wonderful. Better than the communities that we have right now, right? So if you're an investor in NFT, what did you think? You bought something at $1 million 2 years ago, and you don't want to look at that investment into OpenSeas, for example. If you are someone who is selling anything to your investors, wouldn't you have to really worry about the long-term value preservation? Because we are not just spindlers, and we are not here to just take and make quick money, right? Is there technology and rules governing those technologies that can actually show the long-term preservability of the values of objects that people buy? I'm very, very worried that not too many people seem to be saying these things. If you look at NFT white papers, for example. One of the things that characterize digital technology is that digital has almost a zero marginal cost, which means that it's so easy to replicate things, almost free. If you bought one thing, and if the seller sells it happily to you at a certain price, and then the next moment, if the seller creates another thing that looks and feels exactly the same and sells it to 2 million other people, how would you feel in terms of the preservation of your values of the investment, right? There are technologies that and rules that people in the NFT world can learn from other worlds to improve upon that. Long-term stability of the values. Yeah, good behavior, good behavior. The mission statement and the ethos of NFT world and communities is very, 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 very good. It's about decentralization. It's about giving power and privilege and control to everyday people. But that's at the top layer. Coming down to the actual working rules and white papers and actual systems, then many times all those great things get dispersed. And then you're left with incomprehensible jargons and quick money-making behaviors and things like that, in many cases. So what can we do to foster good behavior that can align with those noble goals that are stated as your primary missions? Can technology help with that? protect our uniqueness. When AI and big data will and have already started to treat each one of us as infinitesimally small, almost atom-like component in their quote-unquote big schemes. That your value, my value, has been rendered so small because we are one of 8 billion people. Can NFT help with preserving our uniqueness as the source of our values, restore that has been, that has been taken away by the big tech? I think these are some of the questions that we can think about in terms of advancing the NFT as we know today to those in the future. Oops, sorry. You probably all know what this is, the WorldCoin orb. If you look at the white paper and hear what Sam Altman and others, principals at WorldCoin say, such a noble goal, because these guys are the creators of the world's most advanced AI, and they know exactly what might happen in 10 years or 5 years down the road if the advance of AI progresses as it is now. Most people will have nothing to show for productivity. Most of their work will be taken away, be replaced by AI. So WorldCoin people want to give away basic income, right? To everybody, more than billions of people, just because they are humans, actual living, unique humans. What an interesting and noble goal, a scalably interesting goal. And that's the orb, the device that can scan someone's iris with unprecedented accuracy, that you can actually distinguish 7 billion people as each as unique entities, right? So they even invented such technology for this purpose. So far, so good. But what has actually happened in the real life? Out of almost 1 million people whose irises have been scanned by these devices by WorldCoin, most of them were living in countries where there's not much law for privacy protection, not much technical help, very poor, so that they are almost always willing to give away their own identity to anybody if you are given maybe $2 or $5 worth of WorldCoin coins. Most of the people whose irises have been scanned are from these countries and communities. Again, disjointedness between the primary missions, the noble missions that we say, and what's happening in real life, right? So I think at the conference, I would like to just say that whatever happens, I hope that the NFT community shall not lose that nobility in their missions, and make sure that in real life transactions, real life realizations of your solutions and systems and interactions with people, you will be truthful to that mission. So that's all I have to say. Well, thank you very much.
네, 전 차인혁 대표님의 기술과 아트의 접목, 심도 깊은 의견 들어봤습니다. 다음은 헐드캐치의 코파운더 마리코 니시무라 상의 발표 들어보도록 하겠습니다. 박수 부탁드립니다.
So, oh my God. Hello, nice to meet you. My name is Mariko. Thank you for having me here. But actually, thank you for doctor's presentation. That is amazing. Thank you so much. So today, I came from Tokyo, and I I think this is not my presentation. Could you please change to the Mariko Nishimura Japanese one? Could you please? Yeah, I wanna see this presentation, but before that, I will explain about art, technology, and also the community, especially for the Japanese market. So actually, this is my second time coming here. The last time is 10 years ago when I was working for the IBM, and I was collaborated with Korean researchers and creating the IBM.com support page, because Korean people is very genius. So I got a lot of help from the Korean researchers. Thank you very much. And this time I came here thanks to the Bill Sam. And before my presentation is, it's coming here? Or not yet? Not yet, okay? All right, it's working. Actually, I bring my own presentation, but maybe this is only I have. Excuse me. Oops. Yeah. Oh yeah, here we go. From now, I will start my presentation. Thank you for having me. And yes, this is my bio. Whoops. All right. So, Heartcatch is my company. And I have a company at the Tokyo and also the Los Angeles. And today's theme, art, technology, and community, is my favorite things. And also these three is my statement of working and activities. And first, art. Of course, I do love NFT art. I have a lot of NFT art, and also the kind of blue chip, like Meebits, and also the invisible friend kind of things. But today, I want to explain you about more bigger picture of why we need art. And now I am, of course, a collector of the NFT art, and also I am a teacher for the Musashino Art University. That is the Japanese, one of the big art university. And what I teach there is an entrepreneurship. Because now we need entrepreneurship from, of course, a technological startup, but also the artist mind, artist thinking is very important to creating the innovative things. And also, I'm a member of the Art Thinking Collective that is founded in 2008 in Paris. I will explain in later. And also technology, as I said, I was working for the IBM as an engineer. That is my first career. And also the technology, we cannot get out from the technology nowadays. So of course, I use a lot of technology, and especially these days, like blockchain is very kind of the good engagement for the community and also the artists and the people. And I also are doing a lot of research for the global conferences. And the third theme, community. I think here is kind of the community to think about the NFT and the blockchain, how we can utilize it in a good way to using those technology. I like this kind of the conference to think about the future. And also, I am a member of the Japanese digital agency's spin-off Web3 research DAO. It's called the Dig DAO. So I will explain about this, why Japanese government focus on that kind of the Web3 research, and what kind of activity I do it from now on. So, you see, my right shoulder has a pollinator. I want to explain what is pollinator is. So, of course, my company name is Heartcat, but this pollinator is one of my statement of activities or statement of my life. So what the meaning is, this pollinator is, it's kind of the bee or butterfly who is budding for the flower field and creating a lot of exchange, pollen, and also making fruits and honey. That's kind of the bee and the butterfly is a very ideal icon for me. So what I did is I'm buzzing around one company to bring it to the another company. For example, I'm connecting the big company and also the startup, sometimes artists and also the big company, government, that kind of the mixture is very important to making a good, the innovative society. So I use the metaphor of the pollinator for to creating the more vivid and also the very ideal world. So let me show you 2 examples what kind of things I pollinated is. So one pollination, like bee, is pollinate between the big company, startups and also the Japanese governors. What I did is, this is for the CES conference in Las Vegas. And what I did is creating the Japanese startup, kind of a booth, and make it more attractive to showing the Japanese startups. Of course, this is working with the Japanese METI, Ministry of Economy, Trade and Industry, and also the JETRO. JETRO is the Japanese version of KOTORA. So maybe some of you know about the CES. Of course, the Korean, like KOTORA and the pavilion is huge. So we want to make that kind of the good appearance for the Japanese startups. So I make this Japanese booth working with the Japanese government. And second pollination example is creating the big company and also the startups and connecting the art. So what I did is, this is called the TechBit. TechBit is for the, I did it in Shizuoka. Shizuoka is one of the Japanese prefecture. And this is kind of before normal business matching. But what I did is nowadays, the business is also need some art essence to thinking about the new way of business and also new way of working. So I created the art booth for that business matching. So I invited Yoshitaka Amano, who is making a Final Fantasy's illustration, and inviting the crypto artist Mera Takeru. Actually, today's session, Nori-san is co-produced this art session. So I think this kind of mixture is important. Pollination is important to creating the new innovative society. So let's get into today's session, today's theme. So my theme is art and technology and community. The first theme is art. Yes, I like art. To see the art and to go to the gallery, I really like it. But also, art, I believe art has a power to change the world. And nowadays, Japanese business person really seriously thinking about art can change the business way, or maybe creating the new innovation. So lots of media and also the conference talking about how we can utilize art to the business. So there's a lots of news topics there. So why we need it is, especially in Japan, now we are living in the very fragile, lots of uncertainty. So like aging population and also the labor shortage, and lots of things we need to change. We need to forget about the stereotypes or what we did before. So we need to face against that kind of the uncertainty and the changing the things. Then what can we do? Then I have a method. So what the method is, this is a workshop. This is started from 2008 in Paris. It's called Art Thinking Improbable. So what this beauty is that this is started from the artist and also the business school teacher, and creating the 3 days method for the business person. Then what the beauty is, for 3 days, business person creating the real art. So like me, business person, we used to using this kind of PowerPoint to presenting what I want to do. But at this workshop, what we will do is creating the actual art to express what I want to do. So this method is already, takes 10 years and lots of company using in global. And what a beauty is, even the business person can creating the actual art piece. Of course, this workshop is, work with artists. So artists can help how to make the art, but business person himself, herself is also, abandoned PowerPoint or, forget about the PC or kind of things, just creating the things. Then 3 days, what kind of things is created is that kind of things, like some tombstone and something like Anpanman. Anpanman is a Japanese character, but a little bit weird. But those art pieces has message. For example, can you see the Anpanman? I don't know who knows the Anpanman, but this is the Anpanman, the left center one. So what the business person created to creating this art piece is, they are concerned about the current sharing economy, because sharing economy should be more voluntary, or if you are rich, you can share. But these days, sharing economy is just thinking about how to earn the money. So we should think about more gentle way of how to creating a sharing economy. So that team is emphasize that issue using the Japanese character Anpanman. Anpanman is a sweet bread. So some sweet bread is money by it, and also that kind of things. So those things is created just 3 days by business person. So after this workshop, the business person's way of thinking is different, because the business person thinking art is far away from the normal business person. But no, if you have some method, or if you have a strong message to create it, it's no matter PowerPoint or other thing. Just create it is like artist is a way of learning in this art thinking improbable method. So what a beauty is Japanese big companies also joining as this art thinking workshop. And also already 50 art pieces produced. So nowadays, of course, NFT art, there are lots of art format. But what a beauty is think about art is not only for the artist. People, human being has some knowledge or some ability to creating the art is important to think about. Yes, and I will move to the technology and also the community. So, like technology, as I said, I am my first career is IBM, and I do love to research technology. So nowadays, what the important technologies, of course, blockchain and also Web3 and DAO. And now I am a member of the Japanese digital agency's spin-off DAO called the Dig DAO. So that is the right-hand side. Pink character is Digi-chan. But I am a member of this Web3 research DAO. So what I did here is to discuss and research, and also the creating the new society using the Web3 and DAO. And also what I do is to promote these activities through the Twitter and also the Substack and also the YouTube Live. And currently, what kind of topics we are caring about is what kind of DAO is existing here in this world, and also how research DAO, and also the propose that kind of the scheme to the Japanese big company and also the government. And we ourselves, actually now we have 20 members. We ourselves are creating the new technology. For example, digital ID and also the VC, verified credential, and to make an interoperability world. So if this DigDAO is started in Japan, but Korean people, Korean member is also there, and if you're curious about it, we will translate it in Korean word, and also we want to expand this research DAO globally. So if you're curious about it, please let me know later. And finally, I will show you one of our research theme. So this is my final presentation. But this is a very unique Japanese DAO using the NFT. It's called the Nishikigoi NFT, Yamakoshi DAO. So Yamakoshi is the northern part of Japan, Niigata, and that actually village has only 800 residents. So it's aging village and also the shrinking, but they use the NFT to get the digital villagers. So now digital villager is 1,000 people. And what a beauty is, to become a digital villager, just buy a beautiful Nishiki carp NFT, then you have a chance to commit to this digital village. But this digital village meaning, villager meaning not just have fun in the village. The digital villagers help actual Yamakoshi people, for example, grass cutting and also the snow shoveling, and also they need some power, or they want to become more need inbound tourism. So the digital villagers helping that village to promote more big, we need big help, or we need something instead of 800 real villagers. So this kind of using the NFT to be a digital villager and helping the community, actual community, is one of the key using for the NFT, I think. So actually now the time is ending. So this is my end of the presentation. Thank you so much.
네, 현업에서 아트 기술 커뮤니티에 대한 생생한 이야기 잘 들었습니다. 다음은 파트너십 앤 조이 알렉산드라의 Creative Collaboration, Co-Creation and Decentralized Curation이라는 주제로 발표가 있겠습니다. 큰 박수 부탁드릴게요.
One, two. How do I go back and forth? Okay, perfect. Thank you so much. Thanks for having me today and everyone that came by. It's a pleasure to be among so many prominent speakers. I'm just going to start. Perfect. So today I have quite a big topic to cover, so I'll try to bring as many examples as possible. Let me try to, So this is my name. Most people know me as Alexandra Arts, and I work for a company called Join XYZ. So most of the case studies today I'll be using connected to the company. A little bit background on me. So I completed the Sotheby's Institute of Art master's degree in 2015, and after having a bit of work experience in the traditional market, in about a year later, 2016, started working at .art, which is the top level domain. So same as you have .com, you have .art. So this was 7 years ago, and that's when really my journey towards digital art came through, and I discovered sort of the world of art and technology and what happens when you combine the two. We had the chance to pioneer a lot of interesting projects. So Ars Electronica, we did the first sort of like online exhibition during COVID. CADAF, that was the first crypto and digital art fair in 2017 when Winklevoss twins bought their CryptoPunks. And many other projects that I was involved in. Later on, I started curating, so I recently did a show in New York for Bitworms Gallery. I teach about AI at Christie's Education, and I was interviewed by New Yorker, Financial Times, and many others about sort of like my observations and projects in this space. I think the most exciting of all of this is sort of seeing the transition, being in the traditional art world, and how right now, especially with NFTs, the revolution has happened for artists that previously either were never considered professional artists, or were not compensated for what they're doing, or didn't have a chance to innovate at the same level as technology has empowered them to do so now. So this is my topic. It's quite a mouthful, but we're gonna dive into the definitions. This is our co-founder, Join, Michael Young. I think I need someone's help to play the video. Let's see if it works. Oh, it's okay. We can come back to it later. But in brief, the co-creation is a type of collaboration, but with the emphasis of creating something out of nothing. So the idea is that to co-create together, you don't have to be two artists working together. Co-creation can be among participants, among the community, it can be among developers, it can be among engineers. Anyone can be a participant towards creating a project. A simple example is now Nike has launched a whole new platform called, I think it's .swoosh, where they're asking their community to become sort of co-creators on deciding what kind of apparel will be the next design. It's a more engaging way to sort of bring the community into the first development process towards working on a creative output.
I would say co-creation is really...
Let's go next. So Join is a collaborative platform, and it allows artists to participate in different open calls, curations, and at the same time, as a lead of partnerships, my role is to bring in interesting opportunities from both galleries, conferences, curators, to offer open calls. So this is our biggest, biggest participation rate right now. We have over 30,000 artists that in the last year participated in these open calls. At the same time, we recently released showcases, which I'm gonna dive into deeper, and also stories, which is essentially narration in Web3. So the simple sort of like interface for an open call is specially designed for digital curators. I think maybe, I don't know if some of you are artists or have ever participated in an open call online, but it typically asks you to fill in this massive piece of information, and it just, you have to go through so many bottlenecks to have your art exhibited. And for emerging artists, this is the most important time of their career. How do they get seen? How do they make their art seen by the world? And thanks to digital art and the nature sort of like of this medium, art can be exhibited across the world. There are no shipping costs. It can literally be spawned up to the screen. And we have hundreds of partners. For example, Bank Olufsen. They were, during NFT NYC earlier this year, they had a Web3 gallery pop up at their store in Soho, and they had several screens dedicated for an open call for artists around the world to pay a tribute to their mission, to the brand, to their legacy, and exhibit at the store during that period of time. These are just some of the statistics and some of the partners we've worked with. So 500 open calls, 180,000 artworks submitted over the last year. Partner network from over 20 countries around the globe. And these are just some of the examples. So Museum of Crypto Arts, one of the early pioneers, a museum which is online and in the virtual space that's been supporting artists with their own collection. The Fabricant, which is a digital clothing brand. They were the first in 2019 to sell a digital dress. And 404, it's a very interesting initiative right now. It's actually still live today. And it's a decentralized catalog, which I'm gonna show a better example later. One of the fun features is our Twitter integration. So as some of you might know, 90 90% of artists in the last several years were active on Twitter if they wanted their work sort of like be sold, or if they wanted to discover new collectors or connect with curators. That's where the majority of at least the English-speaking artists participate to showcase their work and connect with other artists. And curators use Twitter for discovering digital artists quite often in the NFT space. And so one of the integrations we have is that when you post, so this is an example of Patrick Amadon, who is a very popular, well-known artist, and he got together some of the biggest collectors in the space to create an open call where they each collect works by artists, both emerging and established. And so once he made the post on Twitter, it got integrated with our platform, and it offered a tool for curation where automatically these submissions and all the different curators were able to list through all of these different works and collect what they liked, shortlist them, download them, export submissions. It's a very, very easy and manageable tool. I'm just gonna click next. So what happens as a curator when you have all of these works? So one thing we saw as an example is, you can collect it, that's great, but what if you want to support artists and you don't have an extra couple of thousand lying in your pocket? Well, the next best thing, which is absolutely free and that anyone can do, I personally, that's how I started my curatorial journey. I just started curating and writing about art, and that's how I met so many interesting artists, is you can do a showcase. And so a showcase is essentially in our database, you can log into your account, and all of the works that were submissions, you can easily drag and drop to create a virtual gallery and invite artists to list these works for sale. They can be for sale, or they don't have to be for sale, or you can simply add a description and talk about all the different artworks that are being submitted. So I don't know if you recognize, this is actually me with a goose. For those of you that don't know why I did that, it's there was a very big sale at Sotheby's this summer, which was called Grails. It was sale of a collection of one of the prominent collectors in Web3, and one of the works was Ringers by an artist named Dmitry Cherniak. And so the artwork fetched a large sum, and then all of a sudden artists start making remixes to that work. And because the work looked a little bit like a goose, there were hundreds of artists creating a remix of the original artwork and sharing it over the internet. And so what we did, and then other curators started doing, is they started narrating that into a blog post, into a virtual gallery, to document that moment of time. I think in my experience, I'm just gonna check how I'm doing on time here, I'm good. In my experience, if I look at digital art from maybe 2016 to 2020, you would be lucky if you have an exhibition every month or two to go to and check out the work. What happened between 2021 and 2023 is I can't keep up. There's just so much happening, and how do you keep track of everything that's going on? And I think that's where creating content and capturing these innovative happenings around sort of like the Web3 space is a wonderful opportunity for anyone that's interested in self-education, in connecting with the community, in learning. Because another major difference between sort of like the traditional institutions from my past experience and what's happening especially in the startup culture and the innovative platforms is that everyone is super young. So everyone is super informal. It's very easy to connect with anyone. You can connect with any founder in this space by literally reaching out to them to see if they would like to have an interview with you, to see if they would like to collaborate on the project. And especially now, when people say, oh, it's the bear market and things are bad, this is the best time. This is when people who are truly committed to the future of innovation, to the future of digital art, to supporting artists. This when we are still busy, like we're working, 50, 60 hours a week just to make sure that we're there on time. And I'm seeing a lot of innovation in this space right now, if you look beyond the surface. We were sort of like one of my first blogs. We were the first to write about Bored Apes in 2021 when they launched, and that's why I was later interviewed about it. And I think that, unfortunately, that was what was making the news. But beyond that, the amount of talented artists that are still doing really, really well is extraordinary. And especially when you look at AI art, if you look at generative art, computer-generated art, it's a movement that's been around since the 60s, like 50s, 60s. But the legacy is there, but it was never truly recognized. And when blockchain came about, this is when, thanks to the storytellers, thanks to the platforms like art blogs, like FX Hash, it gave new life to this form of art. And I think there are plenty more opportunities for anyone interested in sort of like exploring and venturing into this space. This is just another example of an open call summary by NFT Paris. So this is a conference that was happening for the second year in Paris now. It brought together communities from all over the world to do an open call every single month, half a year ahead of the conference. So every month, artists from different communities were given a chance to participate, and 10 of them were chosen to be exhibited at the final conference. And so what the conference did is they used the platform to sort of highlight some of the winners, and then winners also would receive a track record of participation added to their artist profiles. So this is another very important thing for artists is things move really fast. How do they show prospective gallerists that they've participated in all these amazing events? And provenance is one of the most important things when it comes to traditional sales and auction houses, and the same thing counts for digital art. I think when it comes to digital art, it's even more important because there is no clear ecosystem established just yet. Like if you think about it, how do you become successful as an artist working in traditional medium? Okay, you finish an art school, you have a graduation show, maybe you're lucky to have someone like Saatchi come and buy your work and then you become famous all of a sudden. But if you don't have that, you have to participate in group shows, you have to have someone cover you, and it's a very, very long journey, and all the artists, they always have a documentation about this. The beauty, when we talk about digital and and what platforms allow us to do, especially decentralized platforms, is that now this happens automatically. So your track record is documented throughout different stages of participation. And the interesting part and the decentralized curation part about it is that it happens in the open. So if before there is an exhibition, you have no idea how the artists were selected, you're biting your elbows thinking, oh my God, am I worse than the other person? Well, here you have a clear indication of who the curators are. It's all in the open, so you actually see who else is submitting for this open call. How many submissions were there? All the data is public. So you see, okay, there were 1,000 artists, so maybe my art is not bad, there was just really, really high competition. And no one's stopping you from directly reaching out to the curator and asking them what exactly they're looking for. Let me see. So again, just several examples of the different platforms that work with us. It's fine if you don't recognize all of these, but maybe I can just run through some examples. So NFT Show Europe, CADAF, NFT Paris, these were all conferences. So for conferences, it's always, and we worked together with also Art Token and Tour2 to launch an open call for an exhibition. At the same time, we have brands like Bang Olufsen. So for brands, this is interesting because as a brand, if you have a physical space and you have screens, why not strengthen your digital presence? Why not make artists aware that you have this space and make it more engaging for them to participate? Our partners would gain thousands of followers just by creating these open calls because every artist participates, they follow, they talk about it when they win. Then we have other galleries like MFA in Rome or Super Chief Gallery around the world. Obscura, which is photography. Photography is sort of like curatorial group, and they do incredible photography shows. I think photography is also really picking up, and there are a lot of different DAOs and organizations that support artists along the way. Superware, well known. Vertical Crypto Art, also launching conferences and curation. Sotheby's Metaverse. So you would think, how would Sotheby's do an open call if they don't really work with digital artists? Well, they do. And they worked with a photographer, and they wanted to use sort of this interactivity with their community to engage and reward collectors. So it was actually an open call for collectors, and the collectors that would win were able to receive some additional perks from the collection itself. So it goes both ways. It doesn't always have to be the relationship strictly between an entity and the artist. It can be an artist and artist. It can be an entity looking for other partners. Right now, we actually have someone who is doing an AR, open call for partners. So it's going to be an augmented reality exhibition, and they want to have it around the world. And so they're looking for partners around the world that would like to provide their space to participate. I can talk about the use cases forever, but unfortunately I'm slowly running. I think this is my last slide. So just a final note, you can go and check out Join XYZ, and you can always get in touch with me if you want to see how sort of like your business or brand can get more artist engagement. If you're an artist or a curator, same thing. You can sort of like brainstorm about certain ideas or certain narratives you would like to write about. And I think, just to finish this off, overall, I think the sentiment has been quite harsh about what's going on in the market right now, but I have not seen a higher level of creativity. And I think the best part, and this is something I was quoted on in Cointelegraph as well, I think the best part is all the rug pulls, so all the scams, all the non-art NFTs, all the noise is sort of like calming down, and we see the serious art and seriously committed collections doing really well. So all the generative sort of like art collections that were dropped a couple of years ago, they're really strong right now. And I got to start collecting very early as well, so I also haven't really sold personally anything, but I think their opportunities are out there, and now it's not about speculation, but it's about continuous growth and quality. Oh, okay, I think I'm at 0. Well, thank you so much for having me today and for listening to my presentation.
네, 아티스트들의 다양한 콜라보와 탈중앙화 큐레이션에 대한 성공적인 사례들에 대해 잘 들어봤습니다. 다음은 앤디 리안의 Decentralized Dreams, The Journey of NFT in the Age of AI and Web3라는 주제로 발표가 있겠습니다. 큰 박수로 맞이해 주세요.
Hi everyone, I'm Andy. So my topic is also very straightforward. You know, I look at how we navigate our decentralized dreams and the journey of NFT in the age of AI and Web3. Sorry, I'm just going to walk a bit, you know, just go through the flow. A very quick background about myself. I'm from Singapore. I'm a book author. I have recently wrote a book about NFT called NFT From Zero to Hero. So the book itself received good response. We have sold about 10,000 copies so far. I'm a licensed fund manager in Singapore, and most people who Googled about myself, you know, you will notice that I do a lot of intergovernmental work, you know, whether it's from Mongolia, and in the past, you know, I'm very active in South Korea. I'm also an advisor to Bybit. Well, we are the third or maybe the second largest exchange in the world right now in terms of derivatives. And of course, we do a lot of NFTs as well. I will definitely share more on what we are doing at the very end about some case studies that we have. So I think if you look at the brief overview of NFT market right now, you know, the sales volume has definitely dropped. You know, you can see that the sales volume dropped for a very good purpose. You know, we will talk about that as I move along. You know, I have about 20 minutes and the clock is not moving. Yeah. So if you look at it right now, I noticed that many of my friends, they were talking about NFTs and so forth. But if you look very closely at the market right now, there are top 5 best sellers. You have the Bored Ape, a bit degen, a bit profile picture. Then we have things like CryptoPunks, and then we have Art Block. So there is a good mix of what you can see right now in the market. It's not like what you see in the past, where a lot of these profile picture projects are doing very well. So art is on the rise. And when we talk about art, there are things that are more generative, right? And then when we talk about generative art, you think about how AI is going to be in the picture. So the global market size right now is about 429 billion, and it will continue to rise. So the AI market is there. The Web3 market itself is also rising. So you look at the numbers that I have on my right and left, there are numbers indicating the kind of sales volume, the kind of market size that we're looking at. It is still very promising. Coming back to the main topic, why I brought out AI and then I brought out Web3. I just want to have maybe a pretext, on how the whole journey is like right now. So the evolution of NFTs has moved, from collectible to AI-infused assets. And the AI-infused assets also brought up a lot of new controversy. People will say that, so right now at this current stage, everything is AI, anyone can be a creator, right? Isn't that what everybody wants? You want to have a creators economy, you want everyone to be empowered. But then people will start saying that, since everyone can be an artist, then what's the value behind art? That's another thing that we really need to think about harder as we move along. So NFTs, there's a big change in terms of how the market shift is like. And when the AI-generated NFTs, are in the pipeline, various famous digital artists actually step forward, to push it a bit harder. And now, to be very honest, generative artwork has already reached a certain level where many of the big brands are looking at it, and they are trying to see how they could collaborate with some of these NFT artists or these generative artists. And the synergy between AI and NFTs, they create very unique digital assets, because since it's AI, since it's generative, it is also safer to say that a lot of this artwork or a lot of these NFTs are very unique. They are not like what we see in the past with all the profile pictures or all these nice profile pictures. They look exactly the same. They just change a bit of the action, change the shirt color and so forth. That kind of variety actually added on a lot of color and a lot of attention, to what NFT can do. And the rise of Web3 in terms of decentralization has also helped the whole journey to be more fruitful, for many of us. We see that decentralization is the way we move forward, and NFT, for example, is a small symbol for us to think that, we move towards a more decentralized vision, using an NFT. This is a step-by-step scenario, that I'm trying to point out. And I looked at how the Web3 enhanced the NFT system, through different ownerships of different mediums like music, data, in-game assets, and so forth. So right now, when you look at NFT, again, it's not just about art. It's not just about a profile picture. Anything can be NFT. You know, some of my friends, again, they are doing different projects, you know, and then they start to think about, oh, what kind of utility, you know, do you think my project should have? You know, they will be thinking about, oh, I want to create events, I want to create this in-game asset, you know, to give it to my users and so forth. I think all this journey is part and parcel of what we, as a creator, we create something and we try to give a certain value back. You know, like the fine gentleman from CJ was saying, you know, if you are the creator and there are collectors who are trying to buy your work, you know, you want to give back. Give something back, you know. So the rise of Web3 allow a lot of this giving back, you know, on a much global manner, you know. And when it's in a more global manner, you know, some people will think that, you know, what other things can we give from a Web3 perspective? I think the other thing that we can really look at is actually the experience that we give on a global level. You know, in the past, if you're doing an artwork, if you're doing a project, many times it's all geographically bounded. But if you are doing something that is more Web3 driven, you know, the kind of community that you can bring on the table would be a lot more different, you know, from just a local project. So the convergence of AI and NFT, you know, it really enhanced the whole portfolio of assets that you can find. And to be very honest, you know, I look at this from an NFT creation standpoint. You know, there's a lot of boundaries that we can push above and beyond what we see right now. You know, it could be a moving art pieces, you know, it could be a moving art pieces plus some music, you know, and this kind of empowerment, you know, moves through the whole journey of a lot of this AI and a lot of this NFT creator. So again, you know, there are AI-powered curation, you know, and there's a lot of different recommendations of what kind of NFT you can do. You know, we have another friend of ours who actually created a platform where they can create music, create artists, you know, create music videos, create all kinds of different content using AI and NFT, you know, and that kind of recommendation is just crazy. You just upload your face onto the platform, and then they will tell you that, oh, you know, because of the Google searches and so forth, where they stay, their profile and so forth, they can actually curate the kind of a profile for you. What kind of NFTs or what kind of digital asset works best with your profile. So it's just really amazing, and sometimes it's quite funny, you know, how all this recommendation and platform can change and determine, you know, what you can do and what you can't. So the collaboration with a human algorithm, you know, is no longer a stranger. You know, you could definitely do a lot more now as compared to what we see in the past. And tokenizing the future would be something that I would really love to bring out, you know, in terms of NFTs and how NFTs can really work beyond the realm of just artwork. You know, we could look at representation of ownership. You know, we could look at, you know, tickets. You could look at different assets like title deeds and so forth. All these things can be part of the NFT journey. And there's a way to potentially democratize access to investments, you know, through different NFT schemes and so forth, right? And the potential, you know, in this three different technology, you know, is really, really high and really out of many of our imagination. Because of time and so forth, I'll quickly go to the back. I literally kill it. Can we switch it back? So I actually wanted to go all the way back to the end of the slides, you know, to illustrate a few points. Number one is I don't think that NFT is dying. You know, many of us look at the NFT sales and then we start to say that NFT is dying. it is not true. In terms of the sales volume that you see right now, yes, it is getting lower and is getting lower. But the kind of adoption that you can see, in the space is really changing. If you Google my name together with Red Bull and together with Bybit, in the last 1 month, we work with artists to launch NFTs. Over 1,000 ETH was sold and transacted in the last month. We came out with a velocity pass. We want to promote some good artists. There are ways where we could really use NFT in a proper manner, by working with bigger brands, by working with bigger organizations, for example, like Oracle Red Bull Racing. It has done well for us. 2 weeks ago, we launched an NFT collection with Rick, and then in months to come, we will have another one with Snowflow. He's about his art block engine and things like that. So there's a lot of different things that we are trying to push. And then why are we confident that putting out art pieces like this and that kind of collaboration with big artists and big brands are going to work? Is because we did enough market research to tell our target audience that this is the way that we want to curate our NFTs. This is how we want to work with different artists. And this is also supported by big brands, for example, Red Bull itself. So with that kind of element together, and plus the kind of trend about AI, about generative artwork, about how the Web3 community can really, synergize together and coexist, with all these different elements added together, we decided to launch it, mid of this year. We did a lot of groundwork. The success is seen in the launch and in the sale. What I'm just trying to say is that NFT is not dying. It really depends on the kind of runway or the kind of path that you want to take on, and how you constantly try to do your best to promote what you believe in. All right. And Web3 is really here to stay, and it will move beyond your imaginations. Thank you.
네, 다음은 레스티메이트 칼빈의 발표가 있겠습니다. 큰 박수로 맞이해 주시기 바랍니다.
안녕하세요. 저는 노리입니다. That's all I know. Okay. Thanks for having me. My name is Nori. I've been in this space for NFTs for 2.5 years. Very excited about this because I have a lot of opportunities. First, I started off with a researcher, and then doing some interpreter, event organizing, art festivals, crypto art festivals for 2 years in a row. I also brought Korean artists to Japan to exhibit their artwork. After that, I started off the second earliest NFT marketplace in Japan as a CMO. I had 190 artists, digital artists who were interested in NFTs, did some events, taught them what NFT was, or did some campaigns and so. And it was called SBI NFT, the SBI Group's NFT marketplace later on. I moved on later to, this is okay, oh, sorry. Oh yeah, there you go. Yeah, move on later as an incubator. Because I was a researcher, I was trying to be early, finding out great stuffs like Web3 social or Web3 phygital, all the great products or protocols or projects, and bring them to Japan so that I can empower the community and connect it with the artists, connect it with the community, so that people can come to Japan and find and explore a possibility together, And that's so great about Web3. You can connect because interoperability is all about composability, right? You connect and you work together, and then you have another layer outside of Japan and work together. Yeah, so right now, I'm focusing on phygital, social, and marketing and all this stuff, working with Oniforce, let's say for instance, a PFP project, head of Japan, and also crypto projects, or also Web3 Social, Cyber Connect, or Relation. And right now, I'm really, really interested in the phygital side that Calvin's going to be talking later on after this. Yeah, but today I'll be talking about art and technology. Proof of X is the art exhibition that I did in June, and we're going to be exploring what we did. Okay. So before I do that, just to briefly explain to you the situation of Japan. We just finished our Japan Blockchain Week, July. Very tired, by the way, because every day event, as you are right now, right? And but the Japanese government is supporting Web3. Japan used to be the last place to do crypto in 2018 because the regulation was so strict, because there were so many frauds. But gradually when NFT came, we did the lobbying, and then the government started to understand, we want to create the new economy, right? So they're now easing the regulation. Just saying for the NFTs, the government made a public announcement saying, if your NFT is higher than 1,000 yen and lower the quantity 1 million and doesn't have a financial usage, anyone can mint an NFT. Before that, we thought we needed the permission or like the rights, you know? You need to be an exchange or kind of like that, but anyone can do NFTs right now. So that gives us so many opportunities. And a lot of corporates are jumping in. I'm onboarding a lot of corporates again right now, like very busy and looking for an opportunity to explore what we can do in the NFT side. But we need an actual use case, right? Mariko just said, Nishikigoi, the village that are in Niigata, they only have 800 people, digital citizens, and they're expanding who can be related to the village, yeah? And then also, we're attaching the real asset, right, to the NFTs, right? So this is also a t-shirt, a digital t-shirt that has NFTs attached to it, and we can do all sorts of things, digital t-shirt, right? So, but what I'm seeing right now is that we need more, ways of thinking in different approach. And this is where art comes and technology comes. We want to explore and think about what is ownership, what is decentralization, what is coding, right? So in this first half, there was a lot of art events related to crypto. First, we had our very first Made in Contract, which is a smart contract art exhibition. So you think about like ownership, or you think about like hold an NFT or in different direction and expressing it with art. That was number one. Bright Moments, a nomad like IRL minting event happening all over the world. We had Bright Moments this May. Global collectors and artists came, and we were super surprised because it's supposed to be a bear market, but Tokyo was different because all the collectors were there. And this week was like hectic. Every day we were so excited. And then Bright Moments created a sub-DAO in Tokyo, and they're still doing their activation. We had our event with Casey Rees, the godfather of generative art. He minted his artwork, 923 Empty Rooms last couple of weeks ago, and Tokyo was also involved. And then we're also doing workshops to onboard more people so that people can get more understandings and love the culture of crypto. And our exhibition, Proof of X is the title, and we thought, can blockchain be a new medium for art? Can we think about blockchain and express it as a media art? Or is there a way that we can start thinking coding as an art? In like so many ways, I was inspired. I looked at all the artists and I learned every day going to the exhibition, talking to the artists, talking to the collectors, talking to the audience. It was a great time. So I wanted to introduce this to you guys. Last year, we started as a very small exhibition. 6 artists started off in a very Chiyoda 331 gallery near Akihabara. And the artists thought, hey, 2021 April, it was like the time for PFPs, right? And then people were talking about if NFT equals PFPs. But what about like art? What about contemporary art? We can think about like, conceptual side or coding or, and then there's so many ways that we can express NFT, use NFTs, utilize NFTs as art. And so what's happy about it, I'm so happy that we succeeded to onboard a lot of engineers to become an artist. 2 of the artists that came this year started off as an artist to see that coding was an art. You can actually use smart contract to express art. So let me just, this is the digest. 나가리 나이거나. No movies? Okay, it was just a quick, no. Can somebody help me?
지금 기술팀 혹시 지금 지원 가능할까요?
There we go. Yeah. So starting off, when you go into the gallery, the very first artist you see is Ria Myers. Started the blockchain art in 2011. Before Ethereum started, she created art in like testing. Yeah, so, and then all the historical artists, media artists from Japan, and also upcoming artists, coders, hackers, they came together in one place and we expressed what we can see, what we can do through coding and blockchain and art. Yeah, very, very nice time. So just a brief guide of what it is. The theme was blockchain as a new medium for art. 8 days of exhibition. We did it in Daikayaman right near Shibuya. Thanks to Art Token and 2R2 for the support. And also a lot of supporters like FX Hash or the Japanese government or like all sorts of people try to support us to find a new way and also legitimate. Yeah. Yeah, so the key figures. It was an 8-day exhibition, 30 artworks, 20 from the artists and 10 from the FX Hash, generative art field. Yeah, we did everyday talk session, 15. We were supported by 4 media programs, like cultural ones, but Meet Your Art and Domune and all the cultural side. We had 1,100 audience coming every day with word of mouth going every day. And my key highlight is that 60% of the people didn't understand blockchain or NFT. So I was there every day. I talked to them and I was like, why did you come here? I thought it was interesting, the technology and art, but I don't know anything about NFT. Please tell me. The great way to onboard people if you didn't do it in a different approach or an effective approach. This is the media exposure. Like we had all the paper magazines, online magazines, and YouTube programs. And the artists, I can't name them all, but all the legends, all the upcoming artists, and all the great artists are here. And we're also doing it in Osaka right now. Yeah. So the category is a lot we need to cover. The generative art, AI art, of course. When we think about Ethereum or NFTs, on-chain, or smart contract, yeah. There's a lot of subcategories that we need to cover, yeah? So all the conceptual art or dynamic art, we put this all into one exhibition and try to explain. Everybody was full of brain, they were thinking too hard. So I was like, oh no, stop it, stop, don't tell me anymore because I can't think. That was kind of like what's happening. So let me introduce a couple of artists, 2 artists you might be interested. Excalibur is an artist that does street art, contemporary art, and conceptual art. It's all mixing it together. Very cool artist. So what he did was he wanted to express the death of digital art, right? So he wanted to compare the crypto death and the normal life death. Yes. And the title is New Void. So when you think about death in crypto, is you put your NFTs into your burn address, 0x0000 dead, right? And what is it out there? So he thought when you open up a Unity, it's kind of like a very, there's nothing, right? Where there's a sky and there's nothing. So probably the world is like this. But also, he thought that it was kind of like a place where in your normal lives, it might be the same, right? If you die, you don't know where you're gonna go, heaven or hell. But it might be like this. So every year on February 2nd, he always likes to refer to the past, like a literature or like art piece. And he likes this artist that this person had a concept of disappearing or leaving the world or non-existence. So he took it and then he expressed it in a crypto way. Yes. And also what he was saying is that the vanitas that also in the right you look is a skull and all the art pieces there. You can kind of see that the burn address also has kind of the same situation, right? Where a lot of the burn address may be the richest collector in the world because everybody's throwing all the NFTs and not knowing who has it, who owns it. So it was very interesting to compare and like think about what it is in the crypto world and also in the living world, your existing normal world. Very conceptual. Also an exonymous. A 20-year-old media artist, well respected in the contemporary art field. They live in New York, but they're Japanese artists. They've been doing internet art for a long while. They've been doing NFTs for a couple of years, but they said instead of thinking like when it's NFTs, it's on-chain, like putting everything NFTs into Ethereum, I wanted to think it in the other way around. After experiencing on-chain, what about looking at it in a off-chain, which is actually a normal physical art piece. So after experiencing all the NFT and on-chain experience, you put it and you experience you think of it as the off-chain normal physical art piece. Yeah, so silkscreen he used, and it says in the letters, it's a solidity smart contract, saying that it is a solidity that is not on-chain. So I prove that there is no existence on-chain. So it's looking at things the other way around, right? In silkscreen, you usually create t-shirts and then you kind of paint it and then you reproduce, right? But this one, they made a handwritten signature. So you cannot reproduce the same exact one. Also, they ripped the silkscreen so that they cannot be reproduced. So you look at things in the other way around and kind of look like what is the uniqueness, or what is like NFTs, or what is non-fungible. This one was very popular because people were thinking really hard what NFT is. All the 30 NFT artists were kind of like this. So you need to think very hard. All the concepts were like, it is coded as art or derivative art, or thinking a bit at the reference, or what it means to have ownership in decentralized world, or kind of like that. Yeah. So the key takeaway, I'm going to be finishing off my presentation, and why are we doing this? A couple of 4 things I wanted to mention. Yeah, so by looking at the concepts and technology and art, we can inspire so many creativities, not only the artists, the collectors, and the audience. People were so thinking and getting inspired by this art piece. And we would love to find more new talents and through art and technology. As I said, the coders, the engineers started to become artists because looking at this, they saw like, oh, I can do it. I can start thinking like algorithm is art too. So this is what we're trying to do, doing some more workshops and doing some more exhibitions. We want to also connect with the fine art like scene. So we're also doing like an exhibition in Osaka, connecting the contemporary art field. And last but not least, we would love to expand our areas so that we can have a cultural exchange, just like Japan, Asia, and the global market. So my final message is, we're planning to do a Proof of X Korea this autumn. So yeah, hope to see you there. Thank you very much.
네, 코딩도 아트가 될 수 있을까? 이 호기심에 일본은 뜨겁게 반응했습니다. 저희 아트 토큰도 지난달 프루프 오브 X 행사에 스폰서로 참여해 그 열기를 그대로 흡수하고 또 놀이상을 오늘 이 자리에 초대할 수 있었습니다. 네, 코딩 아트에 대한 이야기, 생생한 이야기를 잘 들어봤고요. 그러면 레지티메이트 칼빈의 발표가 있겠습니다. 큰 박수로 맞이해 주시기 바랍니다.
Hello, 안녕하세요. Hi, my name is Calvin. I'm the founder and CEO of Legitimate, and we are a company that works with real-life retail brands to bring physical products on-chain. So the title of my talk is actually called Let's Get Phygital. Phygital is going to be the predominant topic that I'm talking about today. So I want to take a minute and really just dive into what phygital means, right? So we really only scratched the surface of how we can interface with the real world. So being human beings, we like to think about how NFTs, how Web3 technology, how blockchain technology can actually affect us in our day-to-day life. And we've started to see inklings of this in art, in fashion, in media, really. But I want to really focus on this intersection between what we currently know today as Web 2.0 and what we are building for tomorrow, known as Web 3.0. And right in that middle is this thing called phygital. And phygital is the bridge between the physical world and the digital interface. So I want to take it really far back, right? So this was probably 2018, 2019. I don't even really remember. Hayden, founder of Uniswap, came out with this really kind of innovative mechanism to allow people to purchase a digital asset called a Unisoc, right, and redeem it for physical goods. And what you had to do was you bought this token, and if you wanted a physical pair of socks, you would have to burn that token for them to send you a physical pair. This was the inception of bringing real-world assets, real-world products on-chain. And we're seeing the evolution of this today through something like Artifact and CloneX. So CloneX is one of the first companies to basically allow consumers to purchase digital assets and redeem them for real-life products, whether it's hoodies, sneakers, or even more, art or otherwise. And this is where we kind of bridge into our next topic, which is this idea that NFTs and NFCs have a synergy that a lot of companies are starting to pay attention to. You might know about NFCs as a chip that you can scan with your phone, or using credit cards to pay for contactless payments. But what you might not know is that NFCs can actually be securely tied to on-chain assets to prove authenticity, ownership, and bring a new layer of digital engagement to consumers. So here's an example that Azuki, one of the predominant blue chip projects in this space, used a couple months ago, I think, almost a year ago now, where they allowed anybody who had access to a physical hoodie to pool ownership of the NFT. What this means is that they sold NFTs, allowed people to redeem the physical hoodie that was attached to the NFT, and as long as you can scan the chip that's on the hoodie, you can actually gain ownership of the product itself, of the underlying digital token. But we can do so much better than that, because ultimately what this model is just an MVP, right? It's just a version 1. It's a test case. So at Legitimate, we have created what's called a locked NFT model. And this model ensures that the owner of the physical product and the owner of the underlying digital token is one and the same. Now, why would you want to do this? Think about all the counterfeit products out there in the world. Think about all the high-end luxury art that requires paper record of who owns it, who bought it, for how much. Basically, this concept of provenance, everything that we talk about in the Web3 and NFT space, is now actually made real through connecting physical products to on-chain identities. We like to consider ourselves the premier phygital ecosystem. And like I said earlier, we work with the most culturally relevant brands to create physical products with unique digital experiences. So you might ask, okay, what does that mean, right? Because that just sounds like a lot of marketing mumble jumble. So I have a video to show you exactly what we mean when we say, hey, we bring unique digital experiences to physical products. Can somebody help me play this video? Because I know we were having issues earlier. If not, we can go back to it too. Okay, let's skip ahead, and we can come back to this later if we can get it to run. But basically, in a nutshell, we work with brands to put NFC tags encoded with our proprietary software technology into products that consumers can then scan and access things like token-gated content, digital media, exclusive benefits, everything that the Web3 space has been talking about in terms of what the utility of NFTs are. We make it accessible to normal consumers without having them to understand, know, or even deal with blockchain technology. Can I get the next slide, please? There it is. So here's a little screen recording of what we mean by making it seamless for new customers to leverage our technology. As you can see here, we leverage custodial wallet solutions to enable customers to just simply use email addresses or SMS numbers to create a crypto wallet account. We handle and cover all gas fees. We obfuscate all blockchain verbiage, anything from transaction, terminology to selecting specific L1s or L2s. All of that is hidden from the end customer. And what results from that is a seamless experience that takes less than 10 minutes to activate. This means that by scanning a physical product in store after you've purchased it, you already receive an NFT proof of ownership for that physical product within 10 seconds. Here's some pictures of what we call LGT tags. They are our custom encoded NFC tags that we attach to NFTs. And the one specific feature of these NFC tags that we really sort of push forward is their ability to deter counterfeits. So every time you scan one of these NFC tags, it actually generates a unique digital code. This digital code can be verified on-chain, which enables anybody to verify the authenticity of the product. These codes cannot be copied, they can't be replicated, and are a very effective solution for brands looking to deter counterfeits and reduce counterfeit activity. So why legitimate, right? NFTs have been around for 5-10 years. It's not a new concept, but at Legitimate, we've been doing this for the better part of the last 4 years, and we provide an end-to-end solution that takes all the complexity out of your hands. You don't have to worry about sourcing NFC tags. You don't have to worry about encoding NFC tags. You don't even have to worry about minting NFTs, right? It's a plug-and-play solution that anybody can put into practice, whether it's physical products or physical art. I've already talked about a lot of the major use cases, obviously the primary one being anti-counterfeit and authenticity verification. These tags are effective solutions for the growing counterfeit market. I mean, back in 2019, over $500 billion worth of counterfeit gold goods were sold worldwide just for the luxury sector alone. Brands can leverage this technology to help deter counterfeits and protect their products from counterfeit. But the one biggest thing that a lot of people haven't really talked about is the ability to see data transparently on an open graph. Because everything is on a public blockchain, you can actually see how customers are using your products, where they're using your products, and how often they're using your products. This data is very valuable to brands, whether you sell consumer product goods or high-end luxury. And finally, like I mentioned, we provide exclusive content and VIP benefits for customers. This is basically taking the concept of token-gated access and mapping it to real life. And finally, I want to close with this idea that the future of Web3 and crypto is that fundamentally there should be no mention of Web3 and crypto at all. Consumers should be able to interface and interact with this technology without having to download a wallet, without having to save complicated seed phrases, without even having to think about what transactions they're submitting, which blockchain they're using, which L1 or L2 that they're using. And with Legitimate, you can effectively introduce this technology into a retail pipeline without worrying about any of that. So one of the things that we like to focus on is our clients and partners. We've worked with some of the biggest brands in the world. We recently did a launch with Puma and Roc Nation in America, where we sold over 20,000 sneakers in brick and mortar retail stores. This means that over 20,000 people bought shoes, scanned the tag on the shoe, and actually got their first NFT without even thinking about what blockchain they're using, what a blockchain is, what NFTs are. And behind this experience, after they scanned the shoe that was created by Puma and Roc Nation, they actually gained exclusive access to never before heard of music that was curated by Roc Nation in a mixtape. This mixtape was only accessible to people who bought the shoes. This was the first time ever that brands, Roc Nation and Puma of this scale collaborated to integrate Web3 technology into a mainstream retail use case. I'm going to run through some of our other case studies, but other brands that we've worked with in the past include Ambush and Bright Moments back in Tokyo. We obviously have done stuff with local Tokyo NFT projects like OP Sumo Club. We've also worked with Taiwanese projects like 0x Avenue for Taipei Blockchain Week, and direct-to-consumer luxury goods like Senrev in Hong Kong and more. If you're interested, please don't hesitate. Reach out. Come find me after the talk, and thank you for your time.
네, 피지컬 NFT 기술에 대한 현장감 있는 생생한 이야기 잘 들어봤습니다. 네, 다음 발표 순서는 아트 토큰의 CTO 정창희 씨의 웹3 아트 NFT 플랫폼에 대한 발표가 있겠습니다.
네, 안녕하세요. 아트토큰에서 기술 개발 총괄하고 있고 투얼2 개발 담당하고 있는 CTO 정창희라고 합니다. 먼저 지금 코리아 블록체인 위크 이제 시작되고 다양한 행사들이 진행되고 있는데 오늘 이 자리에 와주셔서 귀한 발걸음해 주신 여러분들께 진심으로 감사드립니다. 여러분들의 발걸음이 헛되지 않도록 이 시간에 많은 것들을 얻어가시고 또 좋은 시간이 되실 수 있기를 바라겠습니다. 네, 오늘 이 자리에서 소개해드릴 내용은 저희 팀이 만들고 있고 서비스하고 있는 아트 NFT 마켓플레이스 투얼2에 대한 것입니다. 그 중에서도 가장 핵심 파트인 리워드 모델에 대해서 소개해드리고자 하는데요. 왜 리워드 모델이냐? 여기에 대해서는 그 뒤에서도 설명을 드리겠지만 많은 웹3 생태계에서 그리고 또 탈중앙 시스템에서 이 리워드 시스템 굉장히 핵심 역할을 합니다. 여기 이제 생태계 참여자들이 자신의 그 이익을 극대화하기 위해서 이 생태계의 역할에 더 좋은 그 역할을 하게 되고 그것을 통해서 계속 이제 이익을 극대화하게 되고 생태계가 더 발전하게 되는 그런 모델을 그려갈 수 있기 때문인데요. 그래서 오늘 이 시간에 저희 팀이 그동안 아트 NFT 생태계를 잘 구축하기 위해서 고민해왔던 것들과 그리고 그 결과물을 여러분들께 공유해 드리겠습니다. 저희 리워드 시스템을 잘 만들기 위해서 크게 두 가지 관점에서 생각을 해봐야 되는데요. 첫 번째는 이 글씨가 작아서 생태계 참여자들이 각자의 이익을 위해서 각자의 역할에 충실하도록 만드는 구조입니다. 이제 참여자들이 각자의 역할에 충실하게 될 때 그 역할에 충실하게 됨으로써 생태계가 더 활성화되어지고 그를 통해서 참여자들이 얻을 수 있는 이익이 커지게 됩니다. 그리고 이것은 이제 두 번째로 좋은 크립토 이코노믹스 모델과도 이제 연결되는 관계인데요. 생태계가 활성화되게 되면 이 생태계에서 제공하는 그리고 사용되어지는 그 리워드 모델이나 토크노믹스에서의 그 토큰이 수요가 상승하게 되고 토큰의 수요가 상승하기 때문에 토큰의 가치가 더 증가하게 되고 그렇기 때문에 생태계 참여자들의 이익이 극대화되고 그것은 곧 또 생태계 활성화로 연결되어지는 이런 선순환 구조를 갖는 것이 이제 일반적으로 이 리워드 모델을 사용하는 이유가 되겠습니다. 그래서 좋은 NFT 아트 생태계를 만들기 위해서 저희가 고민해야 할 것은 이 생태계에 참여하고 있는 주 참여자들인 아티스트와 컬렉터들이 이제 좋은 역할을 할 수 있게끔 유도를 하고 그 발걸음을 통해서 또 합당한 리워드를 받을 수 있도록 설계하는 것이 핵심입니다. 그래서 저희 팀이 이 리워드 모델을 이제 위에서 고려해야 하는 것들을 크게 세 가지로 압축해서 정리해 보았습니다. 일단 첫 번째는 좋은 작품이 많이 확보되고 또 그 좋은 작품들이 유저들이나 시장이나 커뮤니티에 전달되어지고 또 그 유저들이 함께 그 작품을 공감하고 공유하고 즐길 수 있는 그런 문화가 만들어지고 커뮤니티가 만들어져야 되겠죠. 그래서 이것을 위해서 아티스트들이 더 적극적으로 활동할 수 있게끔 유도하고 좋은 작품을 만들게끔 하고 또 커뮤니티 내에서도 더 유저들과 컬렉터들과 소통할 수 있도록 이끌어주는 그런 장치가 되어야겠습니다. 두 번째는 작품 거래 활성화입니다. 일단 시장이 형성되어지기에 가장 그 기본 요소로 일단 작품이 소비가 돼야겠죠. 팔려겠죠. 그래서 컬렉터들이 그 작품을 더 활발하게 구매할 수 있도록 유도하는 것이 필요합니다. 마지막으로는 작품 가격의 안정화인데요. 일단 시장 초기인 만큼 그 이제 작품의 어떤 가격이나 가치가 좀 안정적으로 정해지지 않고 들쑥날쑥하고 그로 말미암아서 유저들이 혼란을 겪을 수 있는 이제 그런 부분들이 있을 수 있습니다. 예를 들어서 잘 모르는 유저가 보기에 뭐 색채도 비슷하고 또 어떤 표현 기법이나 이런 것도 비슷하고 뭐 이제 그 어떤 다른 조건들도 비슷해 보이는데 가격이 너무 막 천차만별로 다르게 되거나 아니면은 그 작품 가격도 이제 언제는 되게 막 높아졌다 언제는 되게 낮아졌다 이렇게 되면은 이제 되게 혼란스럽게 되겠죠. 그래서 이런 작품들이 그 시장의 어떤 그 흐름이나 속도나 어떤 수요에 따라서 적절하게 그 가격이 반영되게끔 하는 장치가 필요합니다. 그래서 저희 그 기존의 정통 아트 시장을 보면 그 작품의 가치를 평가하기 위한 기준들이나 그런 이제 그 장치들이 이미 마련이 되어 있고, 뭐 미술 역사에 획기적인 어떤 그 기여를 했거나 아니면은 어떤 작품의 특별한 어떤 그 의미나 작가만의 색채가 담겨 있는 이제 그런 작품의 경우는 더 이렇게 그 가치 있게 쳐준다든가 이런 기준들이 있죠. 그래서 지금 NFT 아트 시장에서도 마찬가지로 이러한 기준들이 계속 만들어지고 작품 가격이 안정화되는 것이 필요하다고 생각했습니다. 그래서 이것들을 고려해서 저희가 제공하고자 하는 리워드 시스템에서 사용되어지는 토큰은 바로 작품을 투표할 수 있는 유틸리티 토큰인 것이라고 저희가 그 결론을 짓게 되었습니다. 이 토큰을 사용해서 좋아하는 작품에 실시간으로 투표를 하는 것인데요. 이 화면의 왼쪽에 있는 그 예시를 보시면 두 개의 작품이 있다고 가정할 때 A 작품이 있고 B 작품이 있죠. 그리고 두 작품의 가격은 이제 비슷합니다. 1.12더 1.22더 약간의 근소한 차이가 있고, 근데 투표량은 A 작품이 12,000 그리고 B 작품이 560으로 현저하게 차이가 납니다. 자, 이 상황에서 여러분들은 어떤 작품을 선택하시겠습니까? 만약에 다른 조건들이 이제 동일하거나 비슷하다고 간주하고 이 둘 중에 한 작품을 반드시 골라야 된다면 당연히 높은 확률로 A 작품을 고르겠죠. 그래서 이처럼 그 투표량은 작품의 가치를 평가하는 데에 참고할 수 있는 유용한 지표가 될 수 있다 라는 생각인 것입니다. 그래서 이것을 바탕으로 했을 때 첫 번째로 이제 그 컬렉터에게는 이 작품을 구매할 때 유용하게 참고할 수 있다. 그래서 그 투표량이 더 높은 작품을 더 이제 그 매력 있는 포인트로 구매하는데 참고할 수 있다라는 것이고, 두 번째는 이제 본인이 투자한 작품과 작가에 대한 관심에 유도를 할 수 있다. 이제 컬렉터들이 당장 작품을 구매하지 않더라도 투표를 할 수 있는 권한이 있을 때 내가 어떤 작품이나 어떤 작가에 투표할지를 좀 더 그 고민해 볼 수 있죠. 그래서 그 작가들이나 작품에 대해서 더 그 이제 관심을 가질 수 있도록 유도할 수 있습니다. 두 번째로는 아티스트들에게는 첫 번째로 아티스트의 적극적인 활동을 유도할 수 있다. 자기가 그 작품에 대해서 투표를 더 많이 받기 위해서 더 좋은 작품을 만들 수 있도록 유도할 수 있고, 두 번째도 마찬가지로 그 더 이제 그 자신의 작가 세계관이나 아니면은 작품을 더 그 공유하고 공감할 수 있도록 전달하기 위해서 더 열심히 커뮤니티 활동을 할 수 있도록 유도할 수 있습니다. 세 번째로 작품 가격의 적절한 가치 반영 도움은 무엇이냐면 그 이제 아티스트들 중에서도 자신의 작품의 가치가 어느 정도 책정되어야 합당한지를 고민이 되는 부분들이 있을 수 있습니다. 그래가지고 예를 들어서 몇 개 작품을 올렸는데 그 중에서 인기가 높고 투표량이 이제 월등하게 높은 작품이 있으면 그거를 반영해서 고려해서 이 작품의 가격을 좀 더 높게 책정한다던가 이런 이제 참고 지표로 사용할 수 있겠죠. 마지막으로 컬렉터의 니즈를 반영한 작품 활동이 가능하다. 네, 이것도 그 아티스트가 다양한 색채나 작품 어떤 기법들에 대해서 그 이제 그 고민하시는 그런 작가들도 있을 수 있죠. 그런 작가들의 경우는 내가 어떤 색채를 쓰는 게 좀 더 이제 사람들이 더 대중이 좋아하는지, 아니면은 내가 어떤 뭐 표현 기법이나 이런 것들을 사용하는 게 더 좋을지, 이런 이제 방향을 정하고 이제 선택하고 집중할 수 있게끔 판단하는 데 더 도움이 될 수 있도록 참고할 수 있습니다. 그래서 이러한 여러 가지 장점들로 인해서 리워드 시스템에서 제공하는 토큰을 기본적으로 투표에 사용할 수 있도록 그런 모델을 설계하게 되었습니다. 네, 그래서 이 토큰을 리워드로 제공하는데 저희는 크게 세 가지 방법의 리워드 제공하는 방법을 담아보았는데요. 첫 번째는 보팅 리워드입니다. 보팅 리워드 말 그대로 투표자들에게 제공하는 리워드인데요. 이 작품이 거래가 발생할 경우에 해당 작품에 투표하고 있는 투표자들에게 이제 리워드를 제공하는 방식입니다. 그래가지고 작품의 가격이 높으면 높을수록 이제 더 많은 보팅 리워드가 발생하게 되고, 그리고 작품이 더 자주 거래되는 작가의 작품일수록 보팅 리워드가 더 많이 발생하게 되겠죠. 그래서 그 투표자들은 유명하고 인지도가 높고 잘 팔리는 작가에게 투표가 몰릴 수도 있습니다. 그렇죠? 근데 이제 너무 많은 사람들이 몰리게 되면 오히려 그 투표 리워드를 더 이제 적게, 많은 인원이 적게 배분해서 가져가기 때문에 전략적으로 투표자들은 그 내가 유명하고 인지도가 높은 작가를 찾아서 투표를 하는 것보다, 안정적으로 투표를 하는 것보다 그 사람들이 잘 모르고 인지도가 낮지만 근데 작품관이 되게 괜찮고 나중에 크게 성장할 수 있을 것 같은 그런 신인 작가를 발굴하거나 그 작가에게 투표를 하는 방식으로 전략적 이익을 선택할 수도 있고, 그 방식은 재능이 있으나 아직 인지도가 낮은 작가들이 더 빠르게 성장할 수 있도록 하기 위한 좋은 발판이 되어줄 수 있을 거라고 기대하고 있습니다. 네, 두 번째는 컬렉터 리워드인데요. 컬렉터 리워드도 말 그대로 작품 거래가 발생할 경우에 이제 구매자한테 제공하는 리워드입니다. 네, 요거는 아티스트가 투표를 아까 받잖아요. 그러면은 아티스트가 받는 투표량과 투표 기간에 비례해서 이제 그 컬렉터 리워드가 점점 누적이 됩니다. 그래서 누적이 되다가 새로운 컬렉터가 발생하면은 나타나면 그럼 그 쌓인 리워드를 다 이제 컬렉터한테 제공하는 방식입니다. 네, 이것을 통해서 저희가 기대할 수 있는 효과는 두 가지가 있는데요. 첫 번째는 작품이 오래 안 팔릴수록 해당 작가에 대한 컬렉터 리워드가 많이 쌓일 수 있다라는 건데, 이제 작가의 경우는 그 작품이 당장 안 팔리더라도 투표만 받을 수 있으면 그 투표로 인해서 투표 리워드가 쌓이게 되고, 그럼 시간이 지날수록 이 투표 리워드, 그 컬렉터 리워드는 계속 쌓이기 때문에 언젠가는 작품이 판매될 수 있다는 이제 그런 가능성을 열어줄 수가 있게 됩니다. 그리고 두 번째로는 작품이 거래될 때 아티스트 풀에 쌓여있던 컬렉터 리워드를 이제 그 컬렉터에게 모두 지급해주기 때문에 NFT 구매 시에 즉시 보상이 지급이 되기 때문에 구매에 대한 부담을 저하시켜줌으로써 더 활발하게 구매가 발생할 수 있도록 해주는 구조입니다. 세 번째는 홀딩 리워드인데요. 이 홀딩 리워드는 지금 이제 다른 기존의 NFT 씬에서도 좀 볼 수 없었던 리워드 방식인데요. 이것은 뭐냐면 작품 거래가 발생했을 경우에 이전 홀더한테 제공하기 위한 리워드입니다. 작품의 가격에 비례해서, 그리고 이 작품을 오랫동안 홀딩 해온 그 홀딩 기간에 비례해서 이제 제공해주는 리워드인데요. 여기에도 두 가지 이제 메인 그 장점을 저희가 기대할 수 있을 거라 생각하는데요. 첫 번째는 구매 부담의 저하입니다. 컬렉터가 비싼 작품을 구매하려고 하면은 아무래도 그 비싼 만큼 부담이 커지겠죠. 가격 부담이 있으니까. 근데 가격 부담만큼, 가격이 비싼 만큼 리워드도 더 팍팍 쌓이기 때문에 이제 그 비싼 작품에 대한 부담을 줄여줄 수 있게 됩니다. 그리고 이게 이제 어느 유저에 따라서는 그 리워드를 더 많이 받기 위해서 전략적으로 더 비싼 작품을 구매할 수 있게끔 하는 이제 그런 장치로도 활용될 수 있습니다. 그리고 이제 두 번째는 2차 판매 부담 저하인데, 그 이제 NFT 구매해 보신 분들에게는 이 2차 판매가 너무나도 이제 중요한 그 투자적 관점에서 너무 중요한 요소입니다. 그래가지고 내가 이거 작품 좋아서 구매했는데 이거 나중에 내가 팔고 싶을 때 팔 수 있을까에 대한 그런 부담이 이제 그 1차 구매에 대한 그 중요한 어떤 요소로 작용하게 되는데요. 이 2차 판매에 대해서 판매가 늦어지면서 2차 판매가 늦어지면서 홀딩 기간이 늘어나면 늘어날수록 그만큼 비례해서 또 홀딩 리워드가 쌓이기 때문에 그 2차 판매가 빨리 일어나지 않더라도 그만큼 이제 실시간으로 그 부담을 이득으로 가져갈 수 있는 구조입니다. 그래가지고 1차 구매와 2차 판매에 대한 부담을 동시에 줄여줌으로써 더 활발하게 그 거래가 발생할 수 있도록 해주는 그런 구조를 가지고 있습니다. 저희가 이제 이런 리워드 구조를 이용해서 그 2R2에 적용을 시킬 때 지금 당장 토코노믹스가 아니라 포인트 시스템으로 적용해가지고 지금 운영하고 있습니다. 저희가 지난 5월에 오픈해서 지금 베타로 그 운영하고 있는데요. 왜 바로 토큰으로 가지 않느냐? 여기에 대해서는 이제 중요한 이유가 있습니다. 이 그 시장의 발전 속도랑 그리고 프로토콜의 그 진행 속도가 잘 맞아야 그 이게 아름답게 이 생태계가 그 지속 가능하고 또 잘 성장할 수 있는데요. 이 만약에 성장 속도가 시장이 너무 빨리 성장해 버리거나 너무 천천히 성장하게 될 경우에 이 속도가 일치하지 않으면 그러면 프로토콜이 오히려 이제 부작용이 날 수 있는 이제 그런 그 양날의 검과 같은 이제 그런 작용을 하게 됩니다. 그래서 아트 NFT 시장은 굉장히 초기 단계이고 또 이제 여러 가지 그 다양한 방식의 크립토 프로젝트들이 있는데 저희는 NFT 아트 시장을 진지하게 접근하려고 하고 있고 또 안정적으로 시간을 가지고 꾸준히 잘 그 이제 성장시켜 나아가야 되는 분야라고 생각합니다. 그래서 포인트 시스템을 적용하게 되었고요. 이제 여기 아래 이미지를 보시면 그 저희 2R2에 현재 여러 아티스트 분들께서 등록해가지고 사용하고 계신데 그 중에 여기 이제 보라색 수치가 있고 초록색 수치가 있잖아요. 보라색 수치는 그 아티스트가 받은 총 투표량을 나타내는 것이고 초록색 수치는 그 컬렉터 리워드의 총 수치를 나타내는 것입니다. 그래서 이와 같이 지금 투표가 발생해서 컬렉터 리워드가 쌓이고 있고 이미 유저들 중에는 이 많이 쌓여있는 컬렉터 리워드를 획득해가지고 이제 작품을 구매해서 컬렉터 리워드를 획득하고 이 획득한 리워드를 가지고 그 이더리움이나 아니면은 다른 NFT로 교환할 수 있는 포인트샵 저희가 한번 하고 있거든요. 그래서 이 포인트샵을 이용해서 이더를 획득하시기도 하시고 아니면은 이 그 리워드 포인트를 재투자해가지고 투표를 하는 이제 이런 등의 그 저희 팀이 애초에 그 의도해서 설계했던 대로 잘 작동하고 있음을 곳곳에서 확인할 수 있었습니다. 이처럼 2R2가 토코노믹스를 잘 적용해가지고 운영해 나간다면 아트 NFT 생태계에 긍정적인 역할을 할 수 있을 거라고 기대하고 있습니다. 네, 마지막으로 여러분들께 드리고 싶은 말씀은 블록체인과 NFT 기술이 등장함에 따라서 아트에서도 이 아트를 소비하고 또 소장하고 사용할 수 있는 이제 그런 장치들이 이제 제공될 수 있게끔 됨에 따라서 기존에는 아날로그 중심의 이제 그 아트 시장들이 디지털 중심의 세상으로 많은 축들이 옮겨올 수 있을 거라고 기대하고 있습니다. 그리고 그것을 또 잘 준비해야 된다고 생각합니다. 그렇기 때문에 지금 저희뿐만 아니라 뭐 소도비라든가 그리고 키아프와 같은 세계적인 그 이제 핵심 플레이어들도 이 아트 NFT에 대해서 굉장히 진지하게 접근을 하고 있죠. 그래서 이런 흐름을 여러분들도 느끼고 계실 거기에 오늘 이 자리에 계실 거라고 생각합니다. 이 흐름을 그래서 저희가 정말 중심에서 잘 준비해 볼 수 있도록 저희 2R2 팀이 앞으로도 최선을 다해서 열심히 뛰도록 하겠습니다. 오늘 발표는 여기서 마치도록 하겠습니다. 감사합니다.